welcome to Destination OG on a nice rainy afternoon, late afternoon. Welcome to the now completed NatureKast outdoor kitchen. It is so good, I'm so excited. So I wanted to give you a tour, a formal tour. We've done a whole vlog series of the many months of process of putting this project together. But I wanted to do a sort of formal introduction of all the different parts and pieces of this setup. Talk to you about the cabinets, talk to you about the organization, the appliances, and kind of give you a general feel for what it's like being out here in the Georgia rainy mountains, looking out over the, I think this is the 9th tee, and in this sort of wooded tree house here. If you're not familiar, this is my house in Helen, Georgia. We call it Destination Obsessed Garage 1. It's the first property, hopefully of many in the future. But the concept was, I'd been working on some other people's homes, some other people's garages, and things like that, and realized that I really like a project, but I like it much more in my own house than I do in others. And so we found this house. I came up the mountains many times to look at homes with my realtor, Kim, and I actually made an offer on 2 different properties in 2 different areas. Came back to this one, bought it in June of last year, and now we're finishing up. This would be phase 3. We'll be starting phase 4 coming up in the summertime, with a very likely finish of this house come winter of next year. So the outdoor kitchen, this was a blank canvas. It was an empty area. It had some pre-wiring for I guess a TV out here, but I don't know what they'd originally designed this for, maybe some sort of outdoor seating area or something. But the original owners never had anything out here. It was just an empty deck. It's a really well-designed deck. This is all that Brazilian hardwood that it has a red finish to it if you look at it from underneath, but it kind of gets a little drab. But the wood is super hard. The I-beams that are holding up this deck are super sturdy, so it can easily hold the load of putting an outdoor kitchen. So I thought, when we first looked at this house, I thought this could be a great addition to the indoor kitchen. Walk outside, be able to grill, keep the grilling and all the splatter and all that stuff outside instead of indoors. There was a myriad of problems we needed to overcome. We needed to figure out how we were going to do the ducting, which you can see turned out pretty aggressive here. My original plan was to go up and capture or grab the ductwork from the interior hood, but that ended up being, it wasn't going to work. The ductwork for the Wolf hood that's inside is not big enough to handle these 1200 CFM Ventahoods, so Mike came up with this idea. We originally thought we would paint it. I know it in person it looks very different than it does on camera. It's wild and actually looks really great. We encountered another major problem in that this beam, we didn't account for this beam being in the way, so we had to make a little 90 here, but it all worked out in the end. This is a 12-inch trunk line that goes up, and the strapping makes it super sturdy. And then we've tested it last night with tons of smoke, and so the smoke goes up over the roof line, the wind carries it away, and so it stays nice and clean in here when you're doing any kind of smoky cooking like burgers or something like that. So let's start with the cabinets. These are Arctic, I can't remember the finish. We'll put it in the description. Sorry, NatureKast. I forget the color, what we call the color. But this is a composite material. So these doors are actually, they're a replica of a piece of teak wood. These are very expensive cabinets, but the quality and the process that they have to go through to construct these things is pretty sophisticated. And so you'll notice the doors are different than the boxes. And so the boxes are a PVC material. You can order them in black or white. We like black for outdoors. White tends to get a little dirty, especially in the outdoor application. And so the cabinets in black, this is a PVC finish, and then what they do, how they make this work, is they actually have a piece of teak wood, and they can only get about 100 doors out of a single piece of teak, and so that piece of teak wood helps them create a mold, and then the mold they pour a resin. So I wish I could show you, they finish the backside of the door, but it's some of the trim pieces are unfinished on one side. You can see it's basically pouring a resin, a fiberglass resin. I don't know if it's fiberglass based, but it's a resin material they pour, and then it conforms or contours to the finish of the teak wood. And they, like I say, they can do about 100 doors out of one piece of wood. And so not only do they have the wood, they also have the resin, they also have the time, they also have to then finish this. So then they add color, and then they add UV, and they're shipping these, I believe the main resin manufacturer is in North Carolina, and then they're shipped up to Ontario for the final finishing, the UV finishing and color finishing to assemble in the cabinets. And then they come down here to the US. So as you might imagine, that's a pretty expensive endeavor. Imagine how much expensive teak is, and then add 7 steps to the process to get this now basically lifelong or life-lasting, even out here in the elements, material. And then it looks like a high-end piece of wood cabinetry. So I could take this cabinet, go throw it in the bottom of my pool, and pull it out 100 years later, scrape the algae off, and it would look just like this. And then the UV coating helps with, like this cabinet's going to get some sun exposure. The UV coating helps make sure that the cabinets don't fade or wear over time. And so the construction of this type of cabinetry, as you might imagine, costs some factor more than a wooden cabinet, which wouldn't last more than, say, 5 years out here. And your alternatives are metal, which can have rusting issues. Maybe you can do something in stainless or aluminum, I guess. I just don't think that looks the part of a house of this level. And so what you have, what these guys have put together, is a really awesome looking and then long-term performing cabinet that can be used for really any application outdoors, not just this setup. I'm actually going to put these in my wash bay where my microfiber towels and stuff are going to go because, you know, if they were hit with water, it really wouldn't matter. Then the hardware, you need to, when we assemble these, you need to use all stainless hardware. So you need to use stainless screws. So all the screws these are put together, all the hinges, all the drawer glides are all stainless steel. They're either T316 or T304. I found this hardware from Top Knobs I like square hardware. This is the only one or the closest I can get to where it's relatively square with a rounded edge. I would prefer this to be squared off. And the Top Knobs doesn't make anything in the 316. I'm sure there's something out there that I would like, but these actually look quite decent. And so this 304 stainless handle, you want to make sure that you're not doing things that are going to rust out here. So every part and piece of this cabinet that we put together is either resin, PVC, or some sort of stainless. So we should have a lifelong, and then of course stone, we should have a lifelong setup. And so the cabinet here on the left is a double door. And so our designers, Sean, and who else worked on this? Kyle worked on this project. Nathan worked on this project at designing and setting this up. And of course, Mike F. and I, built this. Mike doing 90% of it, me holding screwdrivers while we put this together. But this stuff is truly, you can order this modularly, especially if you do something a little less sophisticated than this. You can do this yourself. There's there's feet that you can level. Get some shims and a level, and you can put this together. It's really, I feel confident. I don't know about the hood, but I feel confident I could put this together myself. It might take me a little longer, but I could have assembled this thing myself because the countertop show is going to hire somebody. As we kind of work our way along here, this is a 60-inch cabinet. So it's a 60-inch. We order this depending on the height of the grill and the insert of the grill. I think this is a medium face version of the lower cabinet, but this holds our grill. So this is designed for the grill. We end cap these with these pilasters, which gives it that really sort of finished look. And then you have to just cut this to fit. So I think that's the hardest part of the whole thing is measuring and cutting. You can usually use the schematics provided by your grill company like the EVO. Best to probably watch our video and show you. If I had my video to watch, then I certainly could pull this off myself. So it is something you could do yourself. But this is the Alfresco 42-inch version of their highest end. They also have a mid-end line of grills. They don't operate in the low end, but I believe the retail on this grill is about $8,000, $7,000 and change. around 8,000 if you include the grill insert that you need to buy. But 42 inch, and I ordered this. You can order it in different configurations. I order it with a single searing station and then two the clay brick style normal heating areas. So the concept here for me is I'm going to sear my steak. We actually rotisseried some chickens last night. You can see the chicken residue that we burnt off. But this grill has integrated gauge. You're not going to use this very often, just to give you an idea where you are at temperature-wise. But you have a smoker option, so you can put cedar or something other. There's a burner that burns directly down on this and can help smoke your stuff. I don't know that I'll ever use that part. You have the rotisserie, you have integrated lighting, you have self-ignition. We also have our rotisserie spinner thingy, so it has a motor. So it does need electricity, so a single 110 volt outlet, it probably doesn't draw more than a half an amp or something like that. So it doesn't draw a lot of power, but you do need power to it, and of course you need a gas line. Luckily, they had plumbed this for a gas grill, so we were able to grab that line, cut it off, and then Mike was able to plumb the gas without us having to run to some separate tank or anything like that. So the house does have gas cooktop inside and gas water heater, so tankless water heaters. So we were able to just grab that, which did save us a lot of time and energy. But you can see your infrared off the back here for your rotisserie. This thing is freaking incredible. I actually stumbled on this by accident. I mean, I knew, and I talked to a long-term representative guy who sold grills for like 30 or 40 years, and we talked a lot about the different grills, and I thought I wanted a Heston. And I was just gonna buy that for my house. I had bought a Lynx Professional, and I really didn't like it. It just wasn't, just touching it, the handles didn't feel right. They weren't aluminum or they weren't stainless handles. They were like an aluminum or a plastic. And it was a more expensive grill than this one. I had the same size, 42 inch. And so I couldn't get Heston to agree to, like, I just wanted to buy it, but I wanted to buy it wholesale because I wanted to be able to sell these things in the future. And they wouldn't do it. And so the other options were Alfresco and Twin Eagles. I talked with Pinnacle Sales Group. There's a bunch of car guys there. So Ernie got me set up with Pinnacle Sales Group. And so now I'm an Alfresco dealer. I'm a Ventahood dealer, Perlick, Fulver Milano. There's a bunch of other brands that Pinnacle represents, Zip Hydrotap. And so I was able to get a relationship with them going. And so now my plan is to become the biggest Alfresco, one of the biggest Alfresco dealers in the world, because this thing is incredible. I thought this was my second choice. I'm not just saying this because I can get it. I'm telling you, I think this is the best grill on the market currently. I like the simplicity of it. I don't want any extra goofiness, and it really, really works well. Counterbalance, so even though this hood probably weighs 80 pounds, or the cover, it's super easy to control and manage. And so then to do this right, do this correctly, you should have a hood that extends past the grill and is at a really inconvenient height from the countertop. Standard height for your hood should be at 30 inches. Now, we didn't plan this, but by luck, in order for us to carry or shim the cabinets, we had to extend it about 2 inches, 2.5 inches off the back wall, because there's this hat channel for water, and there's this, I guess it's not a hat channel, but whatever you call this, channeling for water, and then a big baseboard. And so we didn't want to cut that and affect the drainage of the deck. And so we just spaced the cabinets off, and then Mike cut this trim piece here, scribed the molding, and cut this trim piece. So the cabinets are actually this far off the wall, and then of course we just carry the countertop further. So that actually helped quite a bit. I'm gonna do this in all our designs in the future, in that I'm not gonna hit my head like I tend to do sometimes at my house in Florida, where mine is 2 inches, my grill is 2 inches further in. But you need that 30-inch distance, so that way your smoke it doesn't come up past the grill. If you have it too high, it doesn't create enough Venturi effect, I guess, to bring the smoke and annoying stuff that kind of can cover up the area and create a big smoke plume. And so the hood's able to function at full capacity. And so these Ventahoods, this is the PH line, I believe. This is their highest end version. They also have an M line, which is quite a bit less expensive. I want to say these grills or these hoods run about $5,500. They're really, really expensive. There's not a lot to them, but it is a big piece of stainless. Does look the part. At first, I didn't really love them. You turn them on here like this. They are pretty quiet. That quietness kind of made me feel like maybe it wasn't very powerful. But having this thing set up properly and watching it shoot the smoke out the stack here out above the roof, and so you can see up in here your motors are all the way up in the back, so it kind of gets it away from your position out here out front. So I'm starting to like them. I'm growing to like them. I understand why they do this. I don't understand why it costs that much. There's, let's say, $6,000 a piece, $5,000 a piece for these puppies, but I get it. I think they also have an integrated light, but you can hear, function-wise, they function pretty well. So over here to the left is my favorite thing on the planet. I think one of my top 10 favorite things is the EVO cooktop. Think of it like a 30-inch cast iron skillet. So this is a big piece of iron, cast iron on top. You have your little drip pans. You have an inner and an outer burner. So there's a burner that runs in a circle. So there's an inside one and an outside one. You can adjust those temperatures independently. You light it right here. So it is electric light, just like the Alfresco grill is. And clean up on this. I find that to clean both of these takes less than 20 minutes after using it. But the big lesson I learned in the last two EVOs I've had in the last two houses has been, plus the one down, there's actually one down in the basement here that was already here when I bought the house. But what tends to happen is when you're making smash burgers, which I make on this more than anything, the smash burgers, the fat tends to, what do you call it, aerosolizes, and then kind of floats around and then settles down, all over the place, on the countertop, on the floor. And so I decided to put a hood above this, even though you don't get, because there's no direct flame, so you don't get a lot of smoke. So unlike a grill where you have the juices fall down and then turn into smoke, this doesn't have that as much. And so I'd always assume, well, we don't really need a hood. It's not inside. The ventilation of the area would be fine. Actually having a hood makes a really big difference with this and getting the smoke and getting the grease and stuff out of the air and getting it. I'm sure it'll coat this over time, but it gets it out of the way and gets it out of the air so we don't have to deal with that. But this sucker cooking fried rice, we cooked fried rice last night. It's freaking awesome. So I guess technically this is what my fourth EVO, if you count the one downstairs. That one's just a tabletop version. First EVO, I had a company do it. Second EVO, we did at my current house in Florida, and we wanted the countertop to terminate directly at the edge of the EVO here. And we wanted to cover up the little hinge. But the mistake in doing that, yeah, it looks pretty, but then your grease doors won't open. And so it only opens this far, and you're trying to wiggle that out, and you're potentially damaging the face. So then we added a 45 to this, so that way we could get it to like this opening. And then this time around, we decided to bring the EVO out. So that way that the hinge, basically what we did is we set this up before we cut this piece and made like a faux block, and then set the EVO inset enough so that we could open the door all the way. So lesson learned on that. This is the best way to do it. What we'll do, and when I do my fifth EVO, will be on this particular section. Normally you do a 2-inch overhang, which ends up being 1 inch from the face of the cabinet. So it's 2 inches from the face of the cabinet, 1 inch from the face of the drawer or door. And so I would just take this section and bring it out, another, whatever that is, another inch. So I do a 3-inch effacement here on the countertop in front of the EVO, which would make it look a little different than the rest of the array, but I think that's the way to go. So fifth version, we'll figure that out. So another 48-inch hood for 96 inches total. And then what Mike came up with here, again, you're logically thinking, well, Matt, why didn't you just go up through the roof? Trusses are in the way, so We'd have to get really lucky because you're not going to cut a truss. So that's one potential pitfall. Secondly, it's a metal roof on top, so we could end up with leaking issues. I'm sure Mike could have figured out how to seal it up properly, but we could end up with potential leaking issues. And then the ability to get a 12-inch duct. Actually, this section here is even bigger. To be able to get that 12-inch duct up into this box, there's wiring up in there. There's also the potential for the duct inside to be in the way. And so we came up with this concept, love it or hate it. I love it. I think it looks fantastic. I'm telling you, in person, it feels proper. And so these 12-inch ducts, so you have dual 8-inch, one 8-inch for each motor or each fan, because each Ventahood has two fans, two 600 CFM fans, and so they come out neck down into the this custom piece that we had made, and then goes into the 12-inch ducting out the pipes out over the roof, and so that keeps the place proper, keeps the ventilation, keeps the smoke out of here. And we hung out here last night while we were cooking some rotisserie, doing some fried rice, and everything just turned out fantastically well. The original plan was to paint this galvanized, was to paint it like a dark gray or dark brown or something like that. I think I'm going to leave it. It'll last longer this way, and I don't have to paint it, so it'll make it a lot easier. So it worked out really well. So then the other parts of the cabinet array that I thought were important, I really don't feel like I need all these cabinets. So like there's not going to be a whole heck of a lot of stuff in here. But I did want to create a countertop area. And so we have some corbels we're going to put on here, some iron brackets we're going to put on here tomorrow. But the counter is cantilevering 12 inches off, which is a safety factor. So anything over 12 inches, you would need some sort of corbel support. We're going to put the corbel support on it anyway in case anybody really leans on the granite here. But in general, I think this turned out great. So I have 4 countertop height bar stools. These are from Palm Casual, but this is that composite plastic material that lasts forever. I thought 4 made sense. We have seating for 10 out here, but imagine yourself sitting here while you're the cook of the house is making up some smash burgers for you. Lighting is great. We actually changed all the light bulbs. I need to get these in the store, but Satco is my favorite lighting manufacturer of bulbs. These are a LED flood that are 3500 Kelvin color temperature, and they each do about 1200 lumens. There's a dimmer on them as well, so we could dim it down. And then those lights there are actually an LED retrofit instead of a bulb. Those are from SLG Lighting. I feel like the bulbs are almost higher quality than these LED retrofits. This house, normally we would have done DMF. We actually bought all the DMF lighting to switch in this house. The cans are a different odd size, custom size. I think they're like fire rated or something like that. And so DMF didn't make a trim ring that would fit inside of them. So we ended up using these SLGs throughout the house, and it turned out great. And so at nighttime, we have proper lighting, not a lot of shadowing. I do need to replace this fan. We'll put a big ass fan. I'll probably put a little bit bigger version, maybe a 72 inch out here. But the seating areas actually turned out great. I did a 42 inch top and then a 30 inch top bar height. And I did this all by myself. I didn't even need Laurel to do this for me, my interior designer. So the whole back piece here is trimmed out as well. So the back of the cabinets are the black PVC, and so our guys designed it so that we could set this up. With the pilaster ending the end cap, it gave us the ability to finish it off like this. So Mike went down from the underside and brought some construction screws, some lags. So this is lagged in, so in case anybody came running and hit this with their hip, it wouldn't knock this and crack the granite, which could happen. A couple other things to mention, the drawers. So inside the drawers, this is these I haven't locked these down yet because I need to figure out, actually put it in the comments here, what tools, what accessories do I need for out here. I'll show you some of the stuff that I have, but this is from Hafele, and these are a ash wood veneer. And I was always ragging on the idea of veneer, and somebody had mentioned to me which makes more sense now. The MDF core or the composite, like particle board composite cores, stay straight, whereas a thin regular wood will tend to warp. And so they'd veneer this kind of stuff so that it stays true, stays square. Otherwise, if this was just a piece of ash, could possibly curl up because of how thin it is. But this is what's called a cross divider, and then you have a knife block. This is the spice drawer tray, and so I've outfitted most of the drawers with this black ash version of, so this is wood, but it is painted, so I think it will be okay out here. But the concept here is that, you know, I'll have my EVO utensils here. This company is awesome. If you haven't seen this before, Man Kitchen. MANN. They have some really cool tools that, like this thing here is my favorite tool for the EVO for scooping, especially if you've got a smash burger in the back. You know, you got this long handle, you can scoop it up and put it on your plate. But this stuff is really well built, really awesome. So I did all the hateful stuff here. As I find more utensils, I'll probably actually outfit this with flatware and maybe some plates and stuff like that. I don't know how much sense that makes, being as you can just walk inside and grab it from the kitchen, but the kitchen's so close. The other thing I wish I had out here, I wish I had a sink and a dishwasher and all that stuff, but there was no drain, there's no water, and so to get that here, you can get water here relatively easily, but the drain part is the difficult part. And so then I have, down here, I've got my smasher, this Finex smasher. It's freaking cool. Got some parchment paper. So I'll put, this will actually be my spices drawer. So we'll put like Lowry's, some seasoned salt, things like that. Some different rubs out here for people will be here as well. Normally, actually this top comes off and you would store the top here in the bottom drawer when you're cooking. I did what I told people not to do, which was put it on the counter. I like this option rather than doing a little baby garbage can. This is a more stout version. Most pull-out garbage cans, I don't like those because they tend to break. The door tends to break. This one is a lot sturdier and it has a 40-gallon. So the 40-gallon garbage can is just so much more useful. And I wanted it to be close to the EVO because oftentimes the EVO I use 10 or 12 paper towels to clean up, so I can just toss as needed. And then the most useless cabinet but necessary in order to make my 90 is the corner. This corner cabinet goes all the way back. It's huge. I don't have anything to put in there, but if you did have a lot of crap in your life, it'd be a good place to store stuff. I always have invisible glass and Wyman stainless steel cleaner to clean up. So I think that does it for our outdoor kitchen. Thanks to our friends at NatureKast for coming down. We have a whole vlog series on this whole construction from start to finish. So that way if you wanted to do this, you could hit us up. We can design it for you, source the NatureKast cabinets, and ship them out to you, and you'll have a guideline. In my house in Florida, we also did a how-to as well. We did a concrete countertop there, which is quite a bit more sophisticated than calling up Home Depot. We actually went to Home Depot. Home Depot subcontracts it all out. They came out, laser sighted all this stuff, and put it all together. And my friends at NatureKast didn't get to see the countertop. I wish they did. But they flew down from Canada and helped us on the story, and gave us some tips on some things with toe kicks and how to scuff the back panel so that way your glue seats better, because they been doing this for so many years. So thanks to them for coming out and being a part of this project. Hopefully on the next project we'll get the people from EVO and Alfresco out here to do my next project with me. But thanks for following along. If you're interested in this kind of stuff, I've just found it, if you have a really great outdoor kitchen company in your town, that's awesome. Hopefully they're a dealer for all this stuff. But I found I don't have that. And the experiences I've had have not been good with cabinet companies. And so I wanted to create an online solution where you can go on, just hit somebody up, they can design it for you. So our guys will Zoom call with you, they'll schedule it with you, design it for you, show you the different colors. They'll walk into the studio and show it to you on 4K cameras. You can watch all the videos that we put together on how to do this stuff. We're here to support you and help you figure it out. and then you, and you know, if you're like me, like a medium handy male, maybe you hit up one of your buddies who has some construction skills, or maybe you have somebody in your life that does this kind of work, handyman type stuff. But this is handyman level installation, unless you get into, you know, this kind of fabrication here. But in general, this is a pretty easy thing to do, and we can help you get there, whether it's outdoor kitchens or closets. These are some areas that I find very frustrating, and so I'm doing my best to provide some value to the world and hope that maybe some people will honor the source of the information and hit us up for this stuff, and we'll be shipping appliances all over the country. So anyway, thanks for being a part of this series. Again, thanks to NatureKast. Thanks to these guys for making great products. We're on to the next outdoor kitchen project soon. I don't know where that's going to be, but maybe one of you could talk me into if you bought a really, really fancy outdoor kitchen. Anyway, thanks for watching this series, and we'll see you on the next crazy project that I come up with. Go to destinationog.com if you want to book this house. You can come stay here and use this stuff. I think it's got to be one of a kind. There probably aren't many houses in the world, certainly not houses under $10,000 a week that have this level of stuff available for you to come out and test out and try. If you were interested in doing this at your house, I would urge you to come here and get your hands dirty and see how it works before you make an expensive purchase like this. So yeah, that's it for this project. I want to say, I need to add up the total for this. Maybe we'll do a total price, but this is probably about, I'd say probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $30,000 with the appliances and everything to put this all together. But I need to add up to give you a more accurate estimation. So thanks for watching. As always, stay tuned for more crazy. We'll see you on the next project. I'll come up with something awesome. We'll see you soon.